I found a note tucked under my apartment door, scrawled in messy handwriting. "You'll regret this." My heart hammered against my ribs. Regret what? Was this connected to Jared? The San Francisco rain hammered against the windows of my tiny apartment. It felt like a reflection of the storm brewing inside me. Just weeks ago, Jared and I were celebrating. Our startup, Synergy Solutions, we'd poured our hearts, souls, and every last penny into it. He was my best friend, practically family. We'd even talked about moving in together, buying a place with a view of the Golden Gate. Now the view was just blurred by tears. I remember the day I found the discrepancy. I was reviewing the quarterly financials, a task I usually delegated to Jared. But he was busy, wooing a potential investor at some fancy waterfront restaurant. Something about the numbers felt off, like a discordant note in a symphony. I dug deeper, spending hours cross-referencing transactions. I even used an AI-powered auditing tool, a new app everyone was raving about to detect financial irregularities. I felt guilty, spying on my best friend, but the nagging feeling wouldn't leave me alone. And then I found it. A series of small transfers, all cleverly disguised as vendor payments. The amounts weren't huge, a few $1,000s here and there, but they added up. $52,397 to be exact. Diverted into an account I didn't recognize. An account linked to a shell corporation in the Cayman Islands. My breath hitched. $52,397. The amount needed for a down payment on a house. The amount we'd been scrimping and saving for. My apartment door felt 1,000,000 miles away. The first thing I did was call Jared. His voice was cheerful, oblivious. "Hey, everything okay? Just closing a deal with Mr. Henderson." Mr. Henderson, a notorious Silicon Valley shark. "Jared, there's something wrong with the financials. Can you come over?" I tried to keep my voice steady, but I could hear the tremor. He hesitated. "Can it wait? This is really important." "No, Jared, it can't wait." He sighed dramatically. "Fine, give me an hour." An hour to decide how to confront him. An hour to grapple with the devastating realization that the person I trusted most had betrayed me. I pulled up the company's security feed. And there it was, Jared, an hour ago, entering the office late last night with a large duffel bag, leaving an hour later. But who was he meeting in the dark? How could he do this when he... "So, what's the problem?" he asked, too casually. I pushed the laptop across the table, the screen displaying the suspicious transactions. Explain these." He paled. He stammered. He tried to deny it, but the evidence was overwhelming. "Okay, fine, it's true," he blurted out. "But I can explain." "Explain? Explain how you stole over $50,000 from our company?" My voice rose. "From me?" He launched into a convoluted story about needing the money for his mother's medical bills. A story that sounded suspiciously like a plot from a daytime soap opera. His mother was perfectly healthy. She taught yoga at a studio down the street from my apartment. "Don't insult my intelligence, Jared," I shouted. "I know your mother. She's posting chakra alignments on Insta every day." He hung his head. Okay. It wasn't for my mom. I have gambling debts." Gambling debts, of course. It all made sense now. The late nights, the unexplained absences, the sudden mood swings. I should have seen the signs. "How could you do this, Jared?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "We were partners. We were friends. I trusted you." He looked up, his eyes filled with a strange mixture of desperation and defiance. "I was going to pay it back. I swear. Just give me some time." Time? He'd already had my trust. He already had my money. What more could he possibly want? I told him to get out. I told him our partnership was over. I told him I never wanted to see him again. He left, slamming the door behind him. I sat there numb, surrounded by the wreckage of our dreams. The rain continued to fall, washing over the city. but it couldn't wash away the pain. How could I have been so blind? What would you have done? Could you have forgiven him? I needed to start figuring out how to salvage what was left of Synergy Solutions. The doors were locked, which was weird. We all had key fobs, with individual passcodes that were connected to our phones. I tried my fob. Nothing. I called Jared. No answer. I called our head of HR, Emily. She picked up on the third ring, her voice groggy. What's wrong? The office is locked. My fob isn't working. Did something happen last night? There was a pause. That's strange. I'll look into it. 10 minutes later, she called back. Okay, this is weird. Your access has been revoked. Revoked? By who? Jared. He said you were terminated. Terminated? He was trying to steal the company out from under me. He was trying to erase me. Rage surged through me, hot and blinding. I found a way in through the back entrance, a fire escape I'd always meant to get around to fixing. The alarm blared as I climbed up the metal stairs, adrenaline pumping. I disabled it with the emergency code and made my way to my office, my heart pounding. I needed to find proof. I needed to find evidence of Jared's embezzlement before he could cover his tracks. He was clearly trying to paint me as the bad guy, as the one who'd been fired. I knew he was capable of anything. I spent the day scouring the company's servers, digging through financial records, tracing transactions. He was good, I'll give him that. He'd covered his tracks well. But he'd made a few mistakes. Small ones, but enough. As the day wore on, I grew increasingly uneasy. I felt like I was being watched. Every time I looked up, I had the feeling someone was standing behind me. A chill ran down my spine. The office was almost empty. Everyone had gone home, and I was beginning to think about doing the same. It was nearing midnight. I was exhausted, my eyes burning, but I was determined to find something concrete. I located a folder hidden in the cloud, disguised as system updates. Inside were copies of forged documents, bank statements, and emails detailing Jared's scheme. I downloaded everything onto a secure drive. Suddenly, the lights flickered and died. The office plunged into darkness. My phone buzzed in my hand. Leave now. The message wasn't from anyone. It came up blank. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about something much bigger, something much more dangerous. I tried to open my office door, but it was locked. From the outside, panic clawed at my throat. I started banging on the door, yelling for help, but no one could hear me. The office was soundproofed. We'd all pitched in so we could take calls without bothering each other. He had locked me in. He wanted to scare me. Or worse, what do you think he would do? My phone buzzed again. I was trapped, alone, in the dark. I spent the night huddled in my chair, listening to the wind howl outside. Every creak of the building, every rustle of leaves, sent shivers down my spine. I felt like I was in a horror movie, the helpless victim waiting for the killer to strike. The door unlocked. I stumbled out of the office, blinking in the sudden brightness. There, standing in the hallway, was Emily. She looked pale and shaken. I found him, she stammered. He was trying to delete the security footage. He said you'd gone crazy. I showed her the secure drive. I showed her the evidence I'd collected. Her face hardened with anger. I knew something was wrong, she said. He's been acting so strange lately. Together, we went to the police. I filed a report, presented the evidence. They took Jared into custody. The story exploded online. Silicon Valley betrayal, shut your tech startup scam. Justice for her were all trending. I was doxxed and harassed. People called me a fool for trusting him, but I also got a lot of support. Jared was eventually charged with embezzlement and fraud. He pleaded guilty, hoping for a lighter sentence. He received a sentence of 2 years in a minimum security prison. The money was mostly recovered, but not all of it. The experience left me scarred, but also stronger. I learned a valuable lesson about trust, about betrayal, and about the importance of protecting yourself. What was more important, though, was the fact that he tried to paint me as crazy, as unhinged, as unbalanced, to erase my name and my hard work. I couldn't let that stand. I decided to rebuild Synergy Solutions, this time with Emily as my partner. We focused on ethical AI solutions, on transparency and accountability. We learned from our mistakes, and we grew. One day, about a year after Jared went to prison, I received a letter. It was from him. He apologized. He said he was ashamed of what he had done. He said he understood that he had betrayed my trust, and that he didn't deserve my forgiveness. He asked for one thing: to see me again. I stared at the letter for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it, to throw it away, to pretend he didn't exist. But another part of me, a small, stubborn part, wanted to face him, to look him in the eye and see if he was truly sorry. I thought it would give me closure. Against the advice of my friends and family, I agreed to meet him. I found him sitting at a metal table in the prison visiting room, looking gaunt and defeated. He barely looked up when I sat down. I could not believe this was the same man. "Thank you for coming," he said, his voice barely a whisper. We sat in silence for a few minutes, the only sound the hum of the fluorescent lights. "I wanted to tell you," he said. "I pity you." He looked up, surprised. "Pity?" "Yes. You had everything? Talent, opportunity, friendship, and you threw it all away for money." He hung his head again. "I know. I was stupid." "Stupid doesn't cover it. You were selfish. You were greedy. And you betrayed the people who cared about you most." We sat in silence again. I could feel the weight of his regret, the burden of his shame. "I don't expect you to forgive me," he said. "I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry." I looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in a long time. I saw not the charming, charismatic Jared I once knew, but a broken, defeated man. "I know," I said, "but this isn't just about what you did to me. It's about what you did to yourself. You have to live with that." I stood up to leave. "What are you going to do?" he asked, his voice trembling. "I'm going to move on," I said. "I'm going to rebuild my life. I'm going to be happy." And then I walked away. Could I forgive him? I don't know. Maybe someday. But for now, I had to focus on myself. I had to heal. I had to move on. The experience taught me a lot about myself, about trust, and about the importance of choosing your friends wisely. And it reminded me that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope. I'm now a successful tech consultant. I often give talks about business ethics and surviving betrayal. It's been a long journey, and there are still days when the pain feels raw. But I'm proud of how far I've come. So, what would you do if you were in my shoes? Would you have met him? Would you have said the same things? There is one more thing I want to tell you, something that happened a few months after Jared was released from prison. I was walking home from work one evening when I saw him. He was standing across the street watching me. He looked different, cleaned up, sober. I hesitated. Should I cross the street? Should I confront him? He saw me see him. He gave me a small, hesitant smile. Then he turned and walked away. I watched him go, a strange mix of emotions swirling inside me. Relief, sadness, and maybe, just maybe, a flicker of hope. Perhaps someday he would truly find redemption. What would you have done? Would you have stopped him? Would you have given him another chance? What would you choose, revenge or forgiveness? Don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime stories. Let me know in the comments what you would do if you were me. Write what you'd choose. The smile, though, it lingered. It wasn't the smarmy, calculating grin I remembered. It was genuine, or at least it seemed that way. Could someone truly change? Was it possible for Jared to actually feel remorse? I replayed the scene in my head countless times. Each time I noticed a new detail. The way his shoulders slumped, the slight tremor in his hands, I saw a broken man, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger. I felt pity. It was a strange feeling, one I wasn't sure I deserved to have. After all, he had wronged me. He had stolen my trust, my money, my dreams, but carrying that anger was exhausting. Maybe, just maybe, letting it go was the key to truly moving on. That night, I had a dream. I was standing in our old office, the one we lost because of Jared's betrayal. The walls were crumbling, the furniture was broken, and the air was thick with dust. Jared was there too, but he was a ghost, a shadow of his former self. He reached out to me, his hand transparent. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I wish I could take it back." I woke up with a start, my heart pounding. The dream felt so real, so vivid. It was a reminder of what could have been. But it was also a reminder that I was still alive. I was still here. And I was stronger than ever. A few weeks later, I received another message. This time, it wasn't a letter. It was a text message from an unknown number. "He's not who you think he is." My blood ran cold. Who wasn't who I thought he was? Jared? Or someone else entirely? My mind raced. I tried to trace the number, but it was a burner phone. Untraceable. I showed the message to Emily. She looked concerned. "Maybe it's nothing," she said. "Maybe it's just a prank." But I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Very wrong. I started digging into Jared's past, looking for clues, for answers. I interviewed old friends, former colleagues, even his ex-girlfriends. I learned a lot about him, about his insecurities, his ambitions, his secrets. But I didn't find anything that explained the message, until I spoke with someone who knew his father. Jared's father had made a fortune through investments in real estate. It was a secret empire, and Jared was in it. He knew all the secrets of the wealth. But was it enough to betray me? What would you do? Should I have kept investigating? Should I have trusted my gut? Then came a bombshell. The new startup I was working for had been hacked. Documents leaked, private conversations revealed. Embarrassing stuff. It was a targeted attack, designed to destroy our reputation. And again, suspicion fell on Jared. Was this another act of revenge? Was he trying to sabotage my career? The attack was sophisticated, professional. The hackers had bypassed all our security measures. They'd exploited a vulnerability in our blockchain-based encryption. A vulnerability only a handful of people knew about. People who'd worked with us from the very beginning. People like Emily. The thought sent a shiver down my spine. Could Emily be involved? Could she have been working with Jared all along? I tried to dismiss the idea. Emily was my friend, my partner. She had stood by me through everything, but the evidence was mounting. She had access to the sensitive information. She had the technical skills. And she had a motive. She had always been jealous of my success. She craved the spotlight. Maybe she thought that by sabotaging me, she could. I decided to confront her. I invited her to lunch at a cafe downtown. A cafe with free Wi-Fi and glass walls. I wanted to see her reaction when I accused her of being a traitor. She arrived smiling, looking as innocent as ever. "So what's up?" she asked. "I know about the hack, Emily," I said, my voice cold. "I know you were involved." Her smile vanished. Her eyes widened in shock. "What are you talking about?" she stammered. "I would never do anything to hurt you." "Really? Then explain why you were the only one who knew about the vulnerability in our encryption." She hesitated. She looked around nervously. I can explain," she said, "but it's complicated." She then revealed a shocking truth. She was working with Jared's father. He had threatened to ruin her career if she didn't help him sabotage my company. He wanted to silence me, to prevent me from exposing Jared's crimes. Emily was just a pawn in his game. She was afraid, desperate, and she had made a terrible mistake. Now what? Did I believe her? How could I? My phone buzzed. It was another message from the unknown number. "He's coming for you." Who? Jared's father or someone else entirely. Fear gripped me. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare, a never-ending cycle of betrayal and deception. I knew I had to do something. I had to expose Jared's father. I had to protect myself. And I had to find out who was sending me these cryptic messages. A few days later, I received a package in the mail. It was anonymous. Inside was a flash drive. I plugged it into my computer, my hands trembling. The drive contained a series of documents, emails, and photos. They detailed Jared's father's illegal activities, his tax evasion, his money laundering, his shady business deals. It was enough to bring him down. But who had sent it to me? Was it Emily trying to redeem herself? Or was it someone else, someone with a hidden agenda? I decided to go to the police. I showed them the evidence. They launched an investigation. Jared's father was arrested. He denied everything, of course, but the evidence was overwhelming. He was eventually charged with multiple felonies. I felt a sense of relief. Justice had. But the mystery of the anonymous messages remained unsolved. Who was trying to help me? Who was protecting me? And why? I realized that I was still in danger. Jared's father had powerful enemies, people who would stop at nothing to protect their interests. And now that I had exposed him, I was a target. I decided to leave San Francisco. I needed to start over, to build a new life, far away from the shadows of my past. I packed my bags, said goodbye to Emily, and boarded a plane. As the plane took off, I looked down at the city below. The neon city lights flashed over a deserted alley. I wondered if I would ever return, but I knew that I couldn't stay. I needed to find peace. I needed to find myself. I landed in a small town in the mountains. It was quiet, peaceful, and far away from the hustle and bustle of Silicon Valley. I bought a small cabin, surrounded by trees and mountains. I spent my days hiking, reading, and writing. I started a blog, sharing my story with the world. I wanted to help others who had been betrayed, to show them that they were not alone. And then one day, I received another message. This time, it wasn't a text. It was a letter, handwritten. It was signed. Your sister. My sister. I hadn't spoken to her in years. We had a falling out, a bitter argument that had torn our family apart. Why was she contacting me now? What did she want? I unfolded the letter, my hands shaking. She explained that she had seen my blog, and she had been moved by my story. She said she was sorry for what had happened between us. She said she wanted to reconnect. She also revealed that she was the one who had sent me the anonymous messages. She had been working undercover, investigating Jared's father for years. She had risked her life to protect me. And now, she wanted to be a part of my life again. I drove to her home. When she opened the door, I saw my sister there. She was holding a letter,